if you're dreaming of a new life in Australia. The good news is that there are many opportunities for you to explore. Whether you're looking to join a family member, study at an Australian educational institution, or start a new business, there are a number of different visas that may be suitable for you. Skilled migration, family migration, student visas, and business or investment visas are all options to consider, each with its own unique set of eligibility requirements and application process. With careful planning and the right support, you can make your dream of living and working in Australia a reality. Don't let the prospect of migrating to a new country hold you back. Take the first step today and start exploring your options for a bright future in Australia. There are a few different ways to migrate to Australia as an Asian in 2023. Depending on your circumstances and the specific reason for your migration, here are some options to consider. Skilled migration. If you have a particular skill or profession that is in demand in Australia, you may be able to apply for a skilled migration visa. This type of visa is typically available to people who have a job offer from an Australian employer or who can demonstrate that they have the skills and qualifications to work in a particular occupation in Australia. The Australian government maintains a list of occupations that are currently in high demand in the country, known as the Skilled Occupation List, SOL. This list is updated periodically to reflect changes in the labor market and the skills that are most needed in Australia. As of 2021, some of the occupations that are currently on the SOL include medical professionals, such as doctors, nurses, and dentists, engineers, including civil, mechanical, electrical, and chemical engineers, IT professionals, including software developers and systems analysts, architects and urban planners, teachers, including early childhood, primary, and secondary school teachers, tradespeople, such as electricians, carpenters, and plumbers. It's important to note that the SOL is just one factor that is considered when assessing a skilled migration visa application. Other factors include your work experience, education, and English language skills. I recommend checking the Australian Department of Home Affairs website for the most up-to-date version of the SOL, as well as consulting with an immigration lawyer or migration agent to determine your eligibility for a skilled migration visa. Family migration. If you have a family member who is an Australian citizen or permanent resident, they may be able to sponsor you for a family migration visa. This type of visa is available to partners, children, parents, and other family members of Australian citizens or permanent residents. Family migration refers to the process of sponsored family members moving to Australia to join their relative who is an Australian citizen or permanent resident. There are a few different types of visas that are available for family migration to Australia, including partner visas. These visas are available to the spouse or de facto partner of an Australian citizen or permanent resident, as well as to fiancés of Australian citizens. Child visas. These visas are available to children of Australian citizens or permanent residents, including natural, adopted, and stepchildren. Parent visas. These visas are available to parents of Australian citizens or permanent residents, and allow the parent to live in Australia permanently. Other family visas. There are also visas available for other family members, such as siblings, grandparents, and dependent relatives of Australian citizens or permanent residents. To apply for a family migration visa, the sponsoring relative, the Australian citizen or permanent resident, must provide evidence of their relationship to the applicant and sponsor them for the visa. The applicant must also meet certain eligibility criteria, including passing character and health checks. The process for applying for a family migration visa can be complex, and it's recommended to seek the assistance of an immigration lawyer or migration agent to ensure that your application is complete and has the best chance of success. Student visa. Another option is to apply for a student visa to study in Australia. This can allow you to live and study in Australia for the duration of your course, and may also allow you to work part-time while you are studying. To obtain a student visa to study in Australia, you will need to follow these steps. Choose a course of study in a school or university. First, you will need to decide what you want to study and where you want to study it. There are many universities and other educational institutions in Australia that offer a wide range of courses at the undergraduate, graduate, and postgraduate level. Check your eligibility. You will need to meet certain eligibility criteria to be granted a student visa for Australia. This includes having an acceptance letter from an Australian educational institution, meeting the required level of English language proficiency, and having sufficient financial resources to cover your tuition fees and living expenses while you are studying. Apply for a student visa. Once you have been accepted to an Australian educational institution and have met the eligibility criteria, you can apply for a student visa. You will need to complete an online application form and provide supporting documents, including proof of your acceptance to an Australian educational institution, evidence of your English language proficiency, and evidence of your financial capacity. Wait for a decision. The processing time for student visa applications can vary, so it's important to allow enough time for your application to be assessed before your intended course of study begins. Attend your course. If your student visa application is approved, you will be granted a student visa that allows you to live and study in Australia for the duration of your course. It's important to note that the process for applying for a student visa can be complex, and it's recommended to seek the assistance of an immigration lawyer or migration agent to ensure that your application is complete and has the best chance of success. Business or investment visa. If you have a business or investment idea that you would like to pursue in Australia, you may be able to apply for a business or investment visa. This type of visa is typically available to people who can demonstrate that they have the skills, financial resources, and business experience to establish or invest in a business in Australia. A business or investment visa is a type of visa that allows you to live and work in Australia while establishing or investing in a business in the country. There are a few different types of business and investment visas that are available, including Business Innovation and Investment, Provisional Visa, Subclass 188. This visa is available to business owners and investors who want to establish or invest in a new or existing business in Australia. It allows you to live and work in Australia on a provisional basis for up to 4 years, with the possibility of applying for permanent residence after that time. Business Talent, Permanent Visa, Subclass 132. This visa is available to business owners and investors who have a successful business track record and want to establish or invest in a new or existing business in Australia. It allows you to live and work in Australia on a permanent basis. To apply for a business or investment visa, you will need to demonstrate that you have the skills, business experience, and financial resources to establish or invest in a business in Australia. You may also need to provide a business plan outlining your proposed business activities in Australia. The process for applying for a business or investment visa can be complex, and it's recommended to seek the assistance of an immigration lawyer or migration agent to ensure that your application is complete and has the best chance of success. It's important to note that each of these visa categories has its own eligibility requirements, and the process for applying for a visa can be complex. I recommend consulting with an immigration lawyer or an experienced migration agent to discuss your specific circumstances and determine the best path forward. In conclusion, there are a number of different ways to migrate to Australia as an Asian in 2023, depending on your circumstances and the specific reason for your migration. Skilled migration, family migration, student visas, and business or investment visas are all options to consider, each with its own eligibility requirements and application process. It's important to research your options carefully and seek the assistance of an immigration lawyer or migration agent to ensure that you are well prepared and have the best chance of success. With careful planning and the right support, you can make your dream of living and working in Australia a reality.